Welcome to my latest podcast series, One Life. My name's Terence Wallace, and I'm the writer and publisher of a weekly essay entitled Indelible Adventures, and I'm your host. This podcast series sets out to prompt and challenge your thinking about life and what it means to really live your life. I'll share with you my insights and personal experiences with the sole objective of getting you to reflect and think about your approach to living your best life. So let's get started. This week's episode is entitled Proud. I must say that I'm feeling exceptionally proud of my two children, Zach and Sam. And although not exactly kids anymore, Zach is 22 and Sam is 20, they continue to make me honored to be their dad, for the human beings that they've become and the lives that they've created for themselves. As a parent, you always want the best for your kids and will pretty much do anything to help them no matter what. However, at some point, they must follow their own dreams. All you can do is prepare them. There is no manual to being a parent, nothing but hard work on everyone's part. All I can say is that I've been truly blessed to have helped raise two smart, empathetic, and emotionally intelligent kids. My son Zach earlier this year graduated with an honours degree in history from McGill University in Montreal, and has now been accepted into the Australian National University in Australia, in Canberra, to undertake his master's degree. His plan for some years now has been to attain his PhD and become a professor in history, and applaud him for continuing to work hard towards his dream. My daughter Sam is undertaking her undergraduate degree at the University of Waterloo in mathematics and computer science. She recently began her third year of a 5-year co-op program. Enabling students to undertake both school and a job placement is a great concept, as the students come away not only with a first-class degree but also with real work experience and a resume that gets noticed. Sam's first job placement was with a company called Nasdaq Data Link, or Quandl, working on data analytics projects that have been both exciting and challenging. Clearly, she's learned a lot and has stayed on after her first work placement to work part-time throughout the remaining years in her schooling, in addition to her work placements. But I think what makes me most proud is that life hasn't been conventional for them, as my ex and I split 9 years ago, just as they were about to enter their teenage years. Coming from what is considered a broken home was not easy, and then that very first year of adjustment was difficult for us all, as we all settled into our new homes and routines. When my ex and I split, we made a pact, which we've stuck to firmly, in that we'd always co-parent to the best of our abilities. This meant constant communication and support for each other with the kids. Simply put, we agreed to always speak well of each other with the kids and to keep our issues separate and to ourselves. Normalizing our relationship and restructuring our lives was the first step in helping Zach and Sam adjust overall. Becoming a single parent is difficult, irrespective of whether you're a man or a woman. It's equally challenging, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart. From the very start of our separation, I committed to myself that I would be the best dad I could be and do everything in my power to ensure that the kids both felt loved and supported no matter what. A simple example for me was learning to cook. I did this to ensure that whenever the kids were with me, they always had a home-cooked meal made with love. Meals were a time to catch up and talk without distractions. Yep, that meant no electronics for any of us. We needed to be 100% present. In fact, over the years, it got to the point that if I asked them if they'd like to go out for dinner, they'd always say no, as they preferred to stay home to see what I was going to cook. This simple thing of me learning to cook for them has been one of the cornerstones of our lives together, and one which we all look forward to. Even though I came from a household growing up where kids should be seen and not heard, I took an opposing approach, where I engaged and included them in key decisions. Over the years, I've been much less of an authoritarian and much more of a coach, mentor, and confidant. No, that didn't mean less discipline. In fact, far from it. Another important aspect of our relationship was that I also had to be open to having a conversation about any topic. Nothing was off the table, from sex, drugs, relationships, school, you name it. And moreover, I had to learn to listen rather than speak. My approach was to ask them questions so that they were able to see all angles and chart a path forward. This was very, very important in building their confidence. This, by the way, was also one of the most difficult things that I had to do. As a parent, you love your children unconditionally, but at the same time, you need to guide them so that they can develop the confidence to begin navigating life on their terms. I'm sure at times it would have been much easier to tell them what to do, but honestly, I would rather them decide and make mistakes along the way. There's no better teacher than experience. Another important foundational piece was when it came to vacations and school breaks. My ex and I had an arrangement whereby I would take the first week and she would take the second. Or in the case of a big trip, that the kids would be with me for the entire 2 weeks or her for the 2 weeks, and then swap on the following vacation. Now I'm sure you're thinking, so what? Seems somewhat inconsequential. In fact, it was quite the opposite. The kids and I always planned our holidays together. They got to choose the location and how we travelled and where we travelled to, and the things that we did during our trips. Over the years, we travelled extensively, sometimes road trips across North America, other times by plane to the West Coast or East Coast, as well as Europe and Australia. Again, this was another piece of the confidence building process. My plan was to expose them to different cultures, languages, environments all over the world. Getting them out of their comfort zone and equipping them to be able to adapt quickly and easily to any environment. I guess in essence, building a sense of worldliness where they could travel anywhere and not be intimidated, but actually find their feet. I'd like to think that my contribution to them as a father has been to provide them with a life full of possibilities and opportunities. But most of all, how incredibly proud I am of who they've become and the approach they take each day to live their best life. If you'd like to learn more about Indelible Adventures and the products and services we provide, please take a moment to visit the website at www.indelibleadventures.com. Indelible Adventures is one word. Thanks for listening and look forward to hosting you again real soon. All the best.